So I saw Gold, which is far from gold. It's not silver. It's not bronze. I was going to make a joke about how maybe it was like tinfoil in value, but at least that's useful. And this was not. It's also a really bad sign when a film was clearly supposed to be maybe an Oscar vehicle, and then it gets moved to January after the nominations.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's been delayed repeatedly, yeah. Okay, so it's based on true events, and it stars Matthew McConaughey, Bryce Dallas Howard, Edgar Ramirez, Corey Stoll, and Toby Kebbell. And they are using based on true events pretty liberally. I suppose the general framework is the same, but it's based on a mining fraud committed by the Canadian mining group Bre-X in the mid-90s. And I had to look all this up. I don't just know this. They don't tell you any of this in the film.
Yeah, I don't remember any of it happening.
Yeah, so they changed the film to be set in Reno. I don't know why it couldn't have been set in Canada. So Matthew McConaughey plays the lead, and he put on a bunch of weight for the film, which they love to remind you that it's actually him because they show him in his kind of blobby grossness.
Oh.
So many times without his shirt.
Yeah.
I turned to Alicia a bunch. She probably saw me making faces in the dark of just like, no, thank you.
Yes.
I gotta say though, he's not a chameleon actor to me. Like he gained a bunch of weight. He has like no hair on the top of his head in it.
Yep.
They gave him really bad teeth. But to me, I was just like, yep, still just Matthew McConaughey, but kind of grosser. Like Matthew McConaughey if he let himself go in 30 years. There are some people like Christian Bale and Daniel Day-Lewis and Gary Oldman who just like lose themselves when they physically transform. But this was not that. It was just sort of, any of his characters, but kind of grosser. I felt like it was kind of his Wolf of Wall Street character mixed with some of his other characters. And speaking of Christian Bale, this film felt a little bit like The Big Short in terms of trying to track, a fraud or how a collapse happened. But at least that film tried to teach you something. Yes. This didn't do any of that. It didn't do anything. So again, the framework is Matthew McConaughey's in the mining business. He's down on his luck, and he teams up with a geologist played by Edgar Ramirez, and they strike gold in Indonesia. And then this part's a kind of spoiler alert, but not because it's based on true events. It turns out they committed fraud. So the question is, who's in on it? Like, there's this whole big deal about how it's the biggest gold find in all of history, and they've literally struck gold, and it turns out that it was all faked, but there are a bunch of financial ramifications, like a bunch of people get rich, a bunch of people don't get rich. And again, the question is sort of who's actually in on it. But the thing was, I didn't care. I really didn't care about any of them at the end of the day. I think the only person I sort of maybe cared about for a while was Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
Because I wanted her to stand up to him, because Matthew McConaughey treats her kind of crappily at one point. And I was just like, yeah, okay, leave his ass. Leave him. No? Gonna take him back? I don't care anymore. You've completely lost any respect I had. Again, the film was way too long. I kept checking the time. It also suffered from Lord of the Rings syndrome, where it could have ended a bunch of times and didn't.
Yep.
Which is something I get really frustrated by at this point. Again, I guess McConaughey's fine in it. It's not one of his most stellar or interstellar performances. No, just film joke. All right, fine. There's no morality to it. I wasn't rooting for anyone. And honestly, just to be honest, the last thing I want to see right now is a movie about a fat white dude with bad hair getting rich off other people. So I walked away cranky.
They also never tell you if Matthew McConaughey knew all along that it was a scam and that they were scamming people.
Yes,
like, you still don't
it's
know.
It's ambiguous. And actually, so this was frustrating looking at the thing it's actually based on. It's a case, the real case that it's based on, nobody got charged with anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my goodness, they just ran out of time and energy to continue this sort of investigation into this. And again, this is in Canada, not here, but they definitely kind of kept that with this one. And again, these are all spoilers, sorry, but I don't think you need to bother to see the movie. Save your time, save your money. I'm only going to give this one 2.3.
Wow. See, I keep thinking you're going to drop below 2 when you go this harsh on a movie.
But my thing is, like, I didn't fall asleep. Again, that's my metric for, I didn't, storm out of the theater. But I try not to see movies that drop below that, because otherwise I've just completely wasted my time. And this one had potential. That's the other frustrating thing.